Hello, and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. One of the most common complaints I hear is that if the price of XRP reached a certain round number, the market cap would skyrocket and too many people would become wealthy. First of all, I want you all to realize that only a tiny fraction of those who hold XRP will become wealthy solely as a result of the amount they are holding, and even that fraction is likely to sell too soon or be shaken out. Okay. A common thing I say about space is that you shouldn't use the exchanges like a supermarket since you can't trust them. You go shopping, load up the car with our food, drive us home, and stock the fridge. Similarly, when dealing with cryptocurrency, you should treat the exchange like a market, purchase your cryptocurrency, and then immediately transfer it to cold storage, which is the safest option because no unauthorized parties will have access to it. I say this because I think the exchanges will be singled out at some point, and I expect to see them fed to Wall Street through various regulatory and governmental loopholes. We spent some time discussing one of the most important topics, OCP 2.0. This year, Operation Choke Point 2.0 was a hot topic. Isn't that still a big deal? This is still occurring. Regulations are being discussed, real-time payment systems are being launched, and the underlying infrastructure is being improved to support these innovations. And it all makes you wonder things like, is it really this simple? Is nobody else here but us? No, we will definitely be a target. It's plain to see. My perspective is this: think back to the advent of the internet, and then flash forward to every single significant technological development in history. Every time there are regulators involved or an authoritative figure in command, everyone else gets forced out of the way for the sake of power and profit. Even in the crypto world, this is happening. And one of the most prominent topics I actually discuss on my channel is the focusing on retail. One such service is Coinbase. In February of this year, Coinbase was forced by the SEC to prohibit retail staking. Coinbase has reportedly stopped offering staking services in response to pressure from U.S. state regulators. These states include Wisconsin, South Carolina, New Jersey, and California. The irony here is obvious, as this can only be bad for retail. Retailers are the only ones affected. Now hear this: I do not think it is a good idea to risk your funds on a single centralized exchange. In terms of protecting your money, this is one of the worst things you can do. However, as of March of this year, we have evidence that banks have been actively pursuing crypto and retail UK banks. HSBC has announced a nationwide prohibition on using credit cards to buy cryptocurrency. It was also shown in a recent survey that 47% of UK banks do not permit their customers to communicate with cryptocurrency exchanges. October of the year, 2022. A full calendar year has passed. This tells us that bank accounts continue to be a point of emphasis for financial institutions targeting the retail sector. I brought this up in a brief gathering of the disagreement just recently. My buddies tried to buy cryptocurrency but were unable to because their bank or their bank's security measures prevented them from doing so. Right? Because it's a scam, or they'll raise red flags about the legitimacy of the transaction. This whole situation is really insane. And it's all because of rules governing digital currencies and tokens. The NAB is cracking down on Bitcoin transactions even in Australia. It was only 3 days ago that this happened. A major Australian bank has decided, as of June 8, to stop processing some payments to cryptocurrency exchanges. The Commonwealth Bank, to be precise. This is a pretty significant issue, if you ask me. Okay. Also, in the United States, as far back as March 21st. This was during the time when OCP 2.0 was all the rage. And I still think today is the day we should be concentrating on it. For the same reason stated above, nobody knows how far they will go to prevent retail from joining in on the spoils of this tremendous transformation and become filthy rich. But can you name 3 reasons why the US government is preventing people from using cryptocurrency in banks? And the concept of dishonest financial activity was a terrific talking point, so there you go. It's common knowledge that cryptocurrencies can be used to launder cash. It's used to fund prostitution, drug trafficking, and other nefarious endeavors. Okay, but what about fiat currency? Currency, as well as the dangers inherent in crypto assets. And last, the protection of cryptocurrency holders. Oh, we must guard them, of course. That's why it's crucial that we disable their ability to stake their cryptocurrency and prevent them from buying into the market. Additionally, as recently as February of 2022, the goal is to increase the threshold for an accredited investor to $10 million, which will make it extremely difficult for regular individuals to participate in new businesses. For a long time now, the retail industry has been effectively priced out of certain markets. One obvious illustration of this is the real estate market. Accredited investor status is an issue that deserves attention, in my opinion. We were just discussing this new law, right? That's a hefty tab, huh? The establishment of a regulatory framework for digital assets is of paramount importance for the protection of consumers, the promotion of innovation, and the promotion of the United States as a global leader in finance and technology. Seems like several members of the community uncovered some fascinating information. First of all, instead of perpetuating artificially drawn social boundaries, why not use this chance to do away with accreditation roles in this emerging asset class? Let Americans be free of this discrimination. Who are you to tell me how to spend my hard-earned cash? We'll go into more detail regarding the 10% of income threshold and related topics below, but suffice it to say that many others are investigating this and coming up with the same worries as we do. Does one need to be an accredited investor to lose everything in a fantasy football casino or sportsbook? It's in poor taste to introduce a bill at a time of rapid innovation and shifting conditions. Putting caps on investment quantities is a deal breaker, and so on and so forth. Many people have recently informed me that this is all related to initial coin offerings. I hope that makes sense to you. For example, what are we seeing as roadblocks to ICOs? Why don't they just make it? All the digital currencies out there? Nothing? Initial thoughts? Sure, why not? Don't give a hoot about initial coin offerings. The point is, this really shouldn't be included at all. This is so obvious that it defies discussion. That it involves ICOs is irrelevant to me. That's a major issue. The retail industry is being constrained. Look out, champ, the boss put this up. He then referred to the Financial Innovation and Technology Act in relation to cryptocurrencies. Here's an example of the insanity contained therein. They intend to swindle ordinary people out of their money. To avoid the look at the shake my head penalty, don't spend more than 10% of your annual income or 10% of your net worth on any one buy. That's exactly what this says, by the way. Right. Now it's in our possession. It alludes to it several times. Again, everything here is on accord with what has been said regarding accredited investors. After seeing this posted by another member of the community and hearing some discussion about it, Eleanor Tourette cited it. Again, ICOs were a focal point for the conversation. As an illustration, allow me to read this, and then we can discuss it in depth. The new crypto regulatory bill forbids spending more than 10% of one's annual income or 10% of one's net worth on retail purchases of cryptocurrencies. Accredited investors are not subject to these rules, as is commonly stated below. You'll be happy and successful if you spread your wings. There's a lot of lore that suggests this just applies to ICOs, so that's something we'll have to clarify. Again, I didn't see any substantial elaboration on this, and only a select handful seemed interested in providing it. However, a more sophisticated reading of this rule suggests that it only applies to ICO-like sales to retail, despite its initially alarming appearance. Non-accredited investors are now restricted to investing through Reg CF and other channels because to current securities regulations, thus the provisions may actually be less restrictive in this scenario. So, this might be a good idea. But I still find myself wondering why this provision is included in the law at all, and whether it wouldn't be better to remove it. Let there be no special rules or restrictions in effect for this area. Indeed, Eleanor's interpretation shows us. So this only applies to the first round of offers by issuers to non-accredited investors, and the purchase of digital assets using the new exemption outlined in Section 2A1 that is analogous to Reg D, Reg A, and Reg CF. One major lesson is that investors who are not accredited would have a chance to participate in initial offers of digital assets if they are not done under the exemption. So, once again, it may be a great thing for individuals who are not accredited investors. However, I still find this to be restrictive. Right? Still, I find that to be very restrictive. Here in the South, it sometimes seems that accreditation policies are inherently biased, especially if they are tied to financial need rather than relying just on merit. I fully agreed to go to the moon on this because we are not living in a free country as long as these double standards persist. Many individuals were also doing research and having casual conversations about this. If you invest 10% and it multiplies by 50, and your crypto is now worth 5% of your net worth, would you be found? I assume anyone worth more than $5 million is certified and is not limited by these constraints, just as every other free government tells its less well-off residents how they can spend their savings. And again. Are you barred from investing in scam coins ever again? I don't think there should be any restrictions on this, and while many people have issues with it, others are investigating it cautiously or optimistically. Yogi Bear XRP has some further thoughts on the matter. You're missing the top part, which means they want you to retain your money in the bank so they can lend it out at some point in the future. This is just another walled garden they're attempting to impose on you. Quite a few of these bills, if you know what I mean. Though I've acknowledged the necessity for rules to govern the area many times before, my biggest concern is that the area will continue to be governed in the same antiquated fashion. I've said it before and I'll say it again, rules and regulations are necessary. The issue is that we lack effective rules and regulations. And as we do look at what's going on right now, with some of these bills, I worry that they're putting minor stuff in these laws like this, where most people might not even catch it on the first read. But as you peruse the entire book, you'll find that this particular page is just 51 out of 212. Improve these current websites. Worrying whether or not ICOs are involved. It continues to be worrisome, and tell me, can it help the unaccredited? Sure, why not? But what other issues arise for us as non-accredited investors in a similar fashion to what we see below? That is, what if? That's right, the big what if is. Personally, I think they should be eliminated completely. These should be completely eliminated, in my opinion. Perhaps I am mistaken. However, I disagree that there should be confines on the area. You should know the risk when investing, and I agree with the sentiment expressed in the response to A Ticket to the Moon, which is that they shouldn't have them at all and should instead enforce the planned indebting and orchestrated takeover/takedown/collapsing of companies, industries, retirement programs, and allowing their buddies to make attorney fees and buy assets cheap. Before putting down even a single dollar, every potential investor should do research on the market and become familiar with the volatility of various assets. Investors are aware that the money they risk might either go boom and make them a lot of money or go bust and cause them to lose everything. This is something I've always been open about on this channel. The whole industry is based on speculation. We're gambling on a brand new asset class that's based on utility, and so on and so forth. As though the huge boom hasn't happened yet. So, yes, it can be considered speculative. But I don't think we need to confine ourselves in this way. This is a brand new category of investments. This represents a radical shift in the nature of financial transactions and assets. So why do we still need these old-fashioned suits advising us how to invest our capital and how to spend our leisure time? This doesn't seem like the best strategy to me. Perhaps I'm wrong. Having said that, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Please like and subscribe my channel. See you later, bye.